So, if you haven't watched Order of Operations, then you might want to go back and watch it because we talked about several other examples. These are kind of like challenge problems. They're a step above what we just covered. And so we'll review what PEMDAS is and we'll go into trying to solve these things. So, if you don't remember from previous what PEMDAS stands for, it basically is the way we do math in a certain order so that everyone comes up with the same answer. So, first thing you have to understand is what do each of these letters represent? And so a lot of times teachers have given a mnemonic device, which is a way to help remember, like please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And what that really means is that we have parentheses, which are basically brackets. Then we also have E, which stands for exponents, which we've been working on for the past couple lessons. Then we have M and D, and this is where it gets a little confusing. They're both the same level of importance. This is number 1, this is number 2, and then we have 3. Multiplication, and then we have division. And we're looking at these two, we're talking about left to right. Which one comes first, going left to right? And then we have the fourth most important thing, and like multiplication and division, it's also the left to right thing, and that is you're adding and you're subtracting. And once again, we do this left to right. And so this is your main things that you have to remember what order to do them in. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication or division, and then adding or subtracting. And both of them are left to right. And so we're going to look at working with these problems and going from there. So our first example is a fairly straightforward one. What is 2 plus 3 to the third power plus 5? So first thing, let's look back again. Do we have parentheses? And the answer to that is yes, we do. So inside of these parentheses, we have the problem 2 plus 3. So when you get 2 plus 3, you get 5. And you bring down your parentheses, bring down that, and then you write plus 5. Now, there's nothing left inside the parentheses, it's just a number. So now we go to the next one. Are there exponents? And once again, you can hit check. And so now what we have to do is, what is 5 times 5 times 5? And when you do that, you get 125 plus 5. Now, is there any multiplication and division? Not if you do the exponent, so that one's basically done. And then we get to adding and subtracting. And in this case, it's adding. And so 125 plus 5, of course, is just 130. Next up, once again, this time we have a lot more going on. First thing we look at, though, is parentheses. Are there parentheses? And the answer is there's actually 2 parentheses. So we have several things to do. One, we have this parentheses, which is 5 times 2, and that gives us 10 squared. Then we bring down the minus, and then we do 5 minus 3. And 5 minus 3 will give you 2. Bring down the parentheses, and then you bring this down as well. So now you have 10 squared minus 2 squared. Next up, exponents. Are there exponents? And the answer, of course, is yes, there's an exponent here and an exponent here. So you have to do both those exponents. And so 10 squared gives you 10 times 10. 2 squared gives you 2 times 2. And so 10 times 10, of course, gives you 100. Then you bring your minus down again. And then you have 2 times 2, which is 4. And then you do 100 minus 4, and that gives you 96. Next up, 5 plus 2 squared minus 9. So this one's fairly straightforward. First thing we want to do is 5 plus 2. That gives you 7. Then you want to do your 7 squared, which of course is 7 times 7. So that gives you 49 minus 9. And then if you subtract those, you get 40. Next up, so we have a fraction. outside the parentheses, and inside the parentheses we have exponents and addition. So are there parentheses? The answer is check. Are there exponents? And the answer is check. So the first thing we have to do is the two exponents. So the 2/3 stays the same, and now we get 3 times 3 and 6 times 6. So 3 times 3 gives you 9. Bring down your plus sign, and then 6 times 6 gives you 36. So then the next step is, we took care of the exponents, but now we have to look for multiplication and division, and then adding and subtracting. So there's no multiplying and dividing inside the parentheses, but once again there is adding there. So 9 plus 36 gives you 45. And then so now you bring down your 2/3, and now you just have to multiply 2/3 times 45. We can turn that into a fraction. And then we look to reduce. 3 goes in there once. Divide this by 3, you get 15, and then 2 times 15 is 30. Once again, this is a nice fraction of a fraction and a whole number, which you can put over 1. And then 2/3 times that can be reduced by 3. So divide this by 3, and that gives you 1 and 15. And then you have a straight cross multiplication, which your final answer is 30. Alright, next we have this beautiful problem. First thing, once again, is parentheses. Inside parentheses, we have this multiplication right here. So 4 times 6 is 48. And then we bring down the fraction. And then we bring down the exponent. Next up, of course, is the exponent. That gives us minus 9, and this gives us 1/4 times 48. And then we can multiply these two guys together. That gives you 48 over 4 minus 9. And then if you divide that, 48 over 4 gives you 12 minus 9. And 12 minus 9 then gives you 3. Next up. So, lots of going on here. So first thing, parentheses. So what's going on inside the parentheses? Well, we got exponents, we got adding, and we got subtracting. So we got lots to do here. So first thing is, we don't do that exponent first. We don't do the 5, but we do that exponent. So 3 squared gives you 9 plus 5 minus 2. Now, we got rid of the exponent, but inside parentheses, we still have a lot of operations here, so we have to do all those first. And so first thing, though, is we add because it comes left to right. So 9 plus 5 gives me 14 minus 2. And then we just rewrite everything. And then 14 minus 2 gives us 12. And so we have a multiplication between the 5 and the 12, and we got the exponent. So now we have to go back up, and we have to do the exponent first. So now we have 8 times 8, which gives you 64, plus 5 times 12. Then we can do the multiplication. 5 times 12 gives us 64 minus 60, and then we can subtract, which gives us 4. Alright, and last but not least. Now this one's a little tricky, but we'll go through and work it out. So this time we have a fraction to the power, like we just talked about a couple lessons ago, plus 4 to the second power. So remember, when you have this, that means you got 2/3 times 2/3 plus 4 times 4. So we did the exponents, wrote it out, but now we have multiplication. And so when you do this, you multiply the fraction straight across, so that's going to give you 4 over 9 plus 16. And so when you do this, then this is a fraction of the whole number, so you can just smush them together and get a mixed number. So 16 and 4/9. And so if you were to punch an answer like this into Khan Academy, make sure you go 16. And that spot right there is, you should put a space between the 16 and 4/9. And so what that would look like then is just 16 space 4/9. Thank you for this. I hope you enjoyed looking at order of operations, practicing some multiplication of fractions, as well as practicing your exponent properties. Like I said, if you have questions on this, we got class this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I have open office hours Monday and Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. If you have a question, either email me or show up to class. Thank you, and have a nice day.